mostly has endured in people's memories as being the best tanned man.
That's right, the best tanned man.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If he's the extremely tan man.
Now he married one of Lyndon Johnson's daughters, didn't he? Eventually.
I have no idea.
Oh.
I think he married for a while anyway, one of Lyndon Johnson's daughter, and then he was involved in politics in Virginia. Maybe he was a state senator or senator. I remember some scandal. Daria, Katya, Elizaveta, Nastya, and Saule. Does anyone know if Vladislav will be joining us today?
I don't know.
Anyone? Ladies?
No.
No, he will not. Saule?
No, I don't know. I have no information.
Okay. All right.
Good morning.
Professor Smith?
I see that Chef Lero has given us a menu.
Aha, we have indeed. What's the order of the day? Daria, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Daria, would you read the first little paragraph of this menu?
Crab.
Kiev. This one right here. Do you see it? Right there.
Okay. In August 1991, President George Bush was a speech in Kiev, Ukraine, that the pundit William Safire labeled the chicken Kiev speech. What exactly did Safire mean when he used that term?
Good, thank you. Okay, does everyone understand the question? What exactly did Sapphire mean when he used that term? Daria, do you have any idea?
No.
Katya?
No.
No. Elizaveta?
I think maybe Kiev means a lot of chickens for him.
I remember, let's see, you know what chicken Kiev is, huh? I remember about that time that you used to be able to buy what were called noshki gusha. Do you remember those? Does anyone remember those besides me?
Yeah, I remember.
Which was anyway. So he's not talking about those are bush, Professor Marston. Those are bush legs, which were the hindquarters of chicken, and hundreds of thousands were sent to Russia by George H.W. Bush.
I see. I had no idea.
Bush legs. They even had a name. And there was usually a limit on how many you could buy. All right.
You're talking about George Herbert Walker Bush, right?
I am indeed.
Yes.
Bush Starship. All right, Nastya, what is chicken Kiev?
No idea.
Chicken Kiev. Chicken Kiev. Sule, what's chicken Kiev?
Maybe it's цыпленок по-киевски, as we call it. I don't know. I have no.
Well,
chicken котлета по-киевски.
Котлета, да.
Yeah, котлета по-киевски. So why would he give? Is that? Do you think that's what President Bush was talking about?
No, of course not.
Well, so why would you call this speech котлета по-киевски?
Maybe it was something different in something has covered different from that was what was inside.
Okay, well, that's a good guess, but but it's not right. I'm going to tell you, because this is kind of a pun, because he's in Kiev, and so most Americans know nothing about Kiev, but they probably heard of chicken Kiev. What else does chicken mean in modern American English? Daria, Katya, Elizaveta, Nastya, what does chicken mean?
Цыпленок,
Hmm?
In Russian,
цыпленок, курица.
Katlionok, da. What else does it mean? It
I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's like a little chick, a young chicken.
Young chicken.
Chicken, Vladislav. Nice to have you with us today, Vladislav. What else does chicken mean in English?
What else? Chicken. What else? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I would have helped start this discussion, but I'm a big chicken.
Truth. Maybe it means не знаю.
What's truce? A chicken is a coward. Chicken is someone who's timid. Chicken is someone who's timid. And in this particular speech, this was, mind you, right at the period of time when the Soviet Union was coming apart and Ukraine was considering becoming independent. George H.W. Bush said in a speech to the Ukraine, he said, "Oh, be careful about this nationalism, be careful about this, you don't want to upset." And it was kind of, it was not a speech that inspired confidence. It was not a speech that inspired enthusiasm in the people. It was a kind of timid speech, right? Coward, timid.
And of course, we all wondered what he knew that we didn't know, because George Herbert Walker Bush, the first one, had been the director of the CIA before he came to the presidency.
Right. Okay, Katya, would you continue reading?
many dishes and grocery products have place in their names, such as chicken key. What is chicken key?
Okay, well, we just answered that, and go ahead and read this. And while we're on the subject, what are these, and why are they named as they are? Listen to me, friends. Here's your assignment for the next 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to assign you 2 of these dishes. These are dishes. And I would like you to find out, these are things to eat, or these are products. I would like you to find out, go on your Google, and come back and tell us what these mean and why they're named the way they are. And what I would like you to do is, after I give you your assignment, write your assignment in the chat. So Daria, I'm going to give you Dungeness crab and Vermont cheddar, and I would like you to write those words in the chat. Okay?
It will help us all keep track.
Right. Everybody do that. Daria, you have Dungeness crab and Vermont cheddar. Katya, you have buffalo wings and fig Newtons. Zavieta, Russkie pierogi and Boston cream pie. Nastya, Kentucky Wonders and Boston beans. Soulé, Welsh rarebit, and Vidalia onions. Let's see how we do with those. These are all things to eat. Okay, Daria, good for you. Everybody write your assignment in the chat.
And Vladislav, right?
Oh, Vladislav, I'm sorry. Vladislav, you.
Concord grapes.
Concord grapes and Ein Berliner. I think that should be plenty. Okay.
Professor Lero, I actually have a picture of Dungeness where I have been that I will upload.
Oh, I knew it.
I am no longer a big chicken.
Some of these things are making me hungry because I don't know if you all have heard of, for example, key lime pie. Oh, it's delicious.
Oh my goodness.
Philly cheesesteak.
And it's dinner hour for you, isn't it, Carly?
Yes. And I'll have you know, I have an amazing martini recipe for a key lime pie martini.
Key lime pie martini.
Key lime pie martini. Tastes just like the dessert.
All right, let's everybody get their entries in the chat. Daria is there. Sule, Katya. Let's get in the habit of using the chat. This might be a good way to organize ourselves.
Yes, the chat's great, especially if you are somewhat shy and you don't like to speak as much. That way you can still be contributing, but we'd like you to speak more, obviously.
Now let's see. We have some items that are unassigned. So Professor Smith, I'm going to assign to you Louisiana Gunboat and Coney Island Dogs, and Professor Storm Key Lime Pie and Stalichny Salat, and Professor Marston Texas Toast and Chicago Pizza. And as time permits, I will do the last three: Harvard Beets, Parker House Rolls, and Philly Cheesesteak. Chicken Kiev. As I recall, chicken Kiev is a chicken breast that's been cut open, and there's ham. Is there a slice of ham in it, and seasoned butter, and then it's rolled, and then rolled in crumbs, and then sautéed? Am I correct?
Sounds like the chicken Kiev I have eaten.
Mm-hmm. Chicken Kiev.
We might say Kiev, but the dish always seems to be called Kiev.
Kiev, right.
What is that?
In Russian, and I assume in Ukrainian, each vowel there are no diphthongs. Each vowel represents a separate syllable. Each vowel is a separate syllable. And in Kiev, in Ukraine, they pronounce it Kyiv. Kyiv. Okay, is that enough time for everyone? Anyone need more time? Dasha, are you first?
Should I write in a chat what I find out? I have to write in a chat?
No. Did you write? You already put your assignment in the chat. But just tell us what you found.
I found that Dungeness crab is a type of crab which live on the west coast of North America, and its common name comes from the port of Dungeness, Washington.
Mm-hmm. It's near Seattle, Washington,
on the Olympic Peninsula.
On the Olympic Peninsula.
And if you actually click on the tab that says Dungeness,
I don't see it.
Dungeness spit.
Not
there it is.
Oh.
So this is the Dungeness spit. And a spit is a piece of land that juts out. This is the Strait of Juan de Fuca. And the crabs grow in these wonderful waters right here near Dungeness. And there's a beautiful lighthouse right here. And that building right there is the best crab restaurant on the face of the planet. You can literally go to Dungeness and know that the crabs were born and raised right here, and you eat them right there.
And what is this place called?
It is Dungeness. It is called Dungeness. And then these are the Olympic Mountains. If you go, this is, as you look out to the Pacific, this is the Olympic National Park, and these beautiful mountains where the clouds actually cover the tops of the mountains. The mountains are so beautiful.
So we are looking, this picture is taken eastward.
South, toward the southwest. So this is the northern coast of the Olympic Peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
And wonderful, wonderful crab.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful crab. Well, okay. Well, so great. Daria, thank you. It's Dungeness crab. How about Vermont cheddar?
Vermont cheddar is a white semi-hard cheese made from pasteurized cultured milk.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't find white called Vermont.
Okay. What is Vermont?
As I know, it's a city.
It's a state. It's one of the New England states. It's in the Northeast. It's a small state. It's between New York, the state of New York, and the state of New Hampshire, and between the two is Vermont. And this particular cheddar, this white cheddar, is produced only in Vermont, and it's a sharp cheese. It's so good. And a sharp cheese is one that's very sour. Nadia, good job for you. Good job. Katya, buffalo wings.
Buffalo wings, the hot wing, it is a chicken wing with pepper hot sauce and butter, and they traditionally served hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why are they called buffalo wings? If they're made from chicken. What do you think? I can help you with that. The story, Katya, is that they were first served at a bar in the city of Buffalo, New York. So they're called buffalo wings. And now they're served all over the country.
And Professor Lero, under the tab that says bee wings, you've got a picture of buffalo wings.
Oh, you are so good. Bee wings, there they are. Mm. And that red sauce is very, very piquant, very, very, very hot.
I wrote in the chat too that, at least to me, it's a very typical American pub food. Or say you want to go to a pub or to a restaurant and watch a sporting event on the television, for example, maybe have a beer or something to drink. It just seems very typical to have some buffalo wings. And I also wrote that there are a lot of places that specialize in buffalo wings too, and you can buy them in, you know, various levels of spiciness as well as different kinds of flavors. It's something that's very popular in America.
Very popular. Buffalo wings. Okay, how about fig Newtons, Katya?
Newtons is a kind of cookie with fig paste, and that's why they're fig Newtons.
Fig Newtons. Why are they called Newtons? If it's a cookie, why do you call it a Newton?
And you've got a picture under fig Newtons.
You're just fig Newtons. There they are. Oh my goodness! Everybody, oh, fig Newtons, beautiful. I love them. I love them with milk, with cold milk. Fig Newtons. Newton is a city in Massachusetts where they were first produced, so they're called fig Newtons. So they're called fig Newtons. Katya, very good. All right, Lisa. Ruskie pierogi.
Ruskie pierogi. I feel some strange when I say Ruskie pierogi.
Yeah, why? Go ahead, tell me why.
Because I want to say Ruskie pierogi. Not Ruskie pierogi.
Pierogi, okay.
It's a traditional dish for me and for everyone. For some people in this chat, I think it's traditional for they. Pirog is pie, and it has a circle shape.
What's inside? What's inside of it? What's inside of this little pie?
Everything that you want. Everything. It may be some sweet. Maybe it was fish or meat.
Or cabbage. This now Polish people make, when I say pierogi, I'm using the Polish pronunciation and not pierogi, which is the Russian pronunciation. And in the Ruskie are pierogi that have potatoes and cheese inside. Do you like those, Lisa?
Pie with potato, I like.
Yeah, potato and cheese. So these are pierogi with potato and cheese. And there's a joke in Polish. There's a Polish joke that the Polish people tell about these guys who are at a restaurant, and the waitress comes up to the guys. She's carrying their order, and she says, "Kto zakazał ruskie?" And one of the guys says, "Nikto nie zakazał, sami przyszli." Who ordered the Russians? And the guy says, nobody asked for the Russians, they came by themselves. All right.
Very nice.
Good. Lisa, what about Boston cream pie?
I read that Boston cream pie is, in fact, it's a cake, not a pie.
Exactly right.
And you've got a picture, Professor.
Oh, Professor, Boston cream pie. There it is. Let me find it here. Here we go. Oh, it's really a cake. There it is. Did everybody see it? So how is this cake made, Elizabeth?
1 minute. I found this recipe how we can make Boston cream cake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In 2 cups of flour.
Yeah.
5 eggs, 1 cup butter, and 1.5 cups of water.
Well, that's fair. That's straightforward.
Simple cake.
Simple cake, yeah. Simple cake, but very good. And between the cake, so here, what is this in here? So here's cake. Here's cake. On the top we have chocolate. And what's this? What's this in the middle? Lisa, what do you think?
Muffin.
Huh? It's a custard. It's a kind of pudding. It's like a pudding. Oh, this is so good. I love this cake. My mother loved this cake. She really liked this cake. It was one of her favorite. When she would have a birthday, we would have Boston cream pie. And I have no idea why it's called Boston cream pie.
The history said that this pie called the Boston cream pie because the creator of this pie is chef of Boston's Parker House Hotel.
Aha! Aha! I didn't know that. And the Parker House Hotel is very famous. It has lent its name to something else on our list down at the bottom, Parker House Rolls. Well, good job. All right, Nastya, good job. Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nastya, what's a Kentucky Wonder?
Kentucky Wonders is a popular bean. These beans are excellent for eating fresh, freezing, and when their pods are young. Furthermore, these beans grow well in warm weather, and they approximately 64 days to maturity. That's what I found out.
Anyway, that's good. Kentucky Wonders. They're green beans. We call them green beans. Sometimes we call them string beans. String beans. String beans. I'm going to write that in the chat. String beans. String beans. We call them string beans. Kentucky Wonders are a particular kind, and they're very tasty. Do you like beans, Nastya?
My family, frankly speaking, we don't often cook it.
Aha.
So.
Right. Okay. They're very good. I recommend them. So next time you're home, tell your mother, say, listen, let's have some beans. And as long as we're on the subject, Nastya, what are Boston beans? Now, you put this in the chat already somewhere.
There's a picture as well, Professor.
Aha. Boston baked beans. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Yum. Oh, these are so good. Oh, okay. Nastya, tell us about Boston baked beans.
They are a variety of beans, which typically is sweetened with maple syrup and flavored with salt pork or bacon.
Mm-hmm. Maple syrup. You know what maple syrup is?
Yes, but I don't know how can I explain in English.
You're doing good. You're doing fine. Where do you get maple syrup? And do not say at the Universum. Where does maple syrup come from? You're doing great. Mm-hmm. Maple syrup comes from the sap of a tree. That liquid in a tree is called its sap. And Boston baked beans are made. They're dark and they're sweet. Oh, they're so good. Many beans are made with tomato sauce, and Boston beans are not made with tomato sauce. I recommend them too. So remind your mother to have Boston baked beans. Saleh, good morning.
Good morning. Good evening, actually.
Good evening. Yeah. All right. Well, here we go.
Welsh rarebit, according to Wikipedia, Welsh rarebit. Welsh, it's actually toasted bread with melted cheese on it, and Welsh etymology of two words. First word Welsh, according to one version, it's because Welsh people are very fond of cheese, and it's their origin dish. And second version is about English word Welsh, what means foreign, different, and maybe this dish was not origin for English people. I don't know which is true. Which of this version is true, which is not. And rabbit, it's a wrong pronunciation of rabbit. Actually, it's toasted bread. Yes, is correct.
I think you've got a picture up as well, Joe.
Here.
Yeah.
Rarebit. There it is. Oh, there. Very tasty.
I have some problem with sound.
It's not bad.
And actually, I don't hear anybody.
We can hear you all right, it seems.
We can hear you. We hear you. Well, Welsh rarebit is very tasty. Like on Sunday night.
I can't write in chat either. Maybe I have to renew the page or restart internet.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Anyway, we thank you for your.
I can't hear you.
Okay. You can't hear me. Go ahead and restart, and we will. Why am I talking if you can't hear me?
I've written it.
Okay.
We're so taken by food, we can't think.
We're so taken by food, and because I want to come back to the Delia onions. Vladislav, greetings to you.
He had to leave.
He had to leave? I guess I missed that. Well, I will tell you about Concord grapes, and Professor Smith will tell us about Ein Berliner. The Concord grapes are dark grapes. They're purple grapes, and they were first grown in Concord, Massachusetts, on the East Coast. Concord grapes, and they're very rich flavored. And grape jelly, the best grape jelly, in my opinion, is Concord grape jelly, dark purple. And if you don't have Welsh rarebit on your toast, have grape jelly on your toast. All right. How about
And who has heard the phrase "Ein Berliner" from a very famous political speech? Actually, Professor Lira, if you would click on the tab that says Berliner.
Berliner. Okay.
A little bit of misspelling, but this is, of course, a very famous line from the John F. Kennedy speech, right? He goes to Berlin, I think in 1961, right?
Mm-hmm.
And says, "Ich bin ein Berliner," trying to let the people of Berlin know that he is with them politically. But a Berliner is actually a big jelly donut. And there you see a picture of the big jelly donut here. So what he actually said was, "I am a big jelly donut." And
what should he have said?
Yes, he should not have used the ein. If he had not used the ein, right, if he had crossed that out and said, "Ich bin Berliner," he would have been grammatically correct, and he would not have been a big jelly donut.
He did this because he was an American, and we have articles a lot of times where other languages don't.
And you can still go to Berlin and have these wonderful donuts, and they have a wonderful, usually red jelly filling, but other types as well. Mm-hmm. Not Concord grapes, but almost as tasty.
Almost as tasty. Okay. Now let's see. We have Soleil is.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, it's
back. Well, what do you think? Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Excuse me, I have some problems. I don't know what was it.
Well, sometimes going back to it seems like you've solved them just in time to tell us about Vidalia onions.
Vidalia onions, yeah. Vidalia onions, it's a sweet onion. It's called Vidalia because it grows in Georgia, near to Vidalia in Georgia. That was the place where the first onions was first grown. Yeah, near
very
to
good.
This place. Yes,
they're very good. They're sweet onions. I had one of my wife's uncles would take Vidalia onions and slice them and put them on bread with mayonnaise and eat an onion sandwich. He liked to eat an onion sandwich. Does that sound appetizing to anyone?
No, I can't imagine what is a sweet onion. How does it taste?
This is a very sweet onion, and it's sweet enough that you could eat it in a sandwich with mayonnaise.
Yes.
Well.
I can imagine it. I really like it.
Oh, you like them? Onions?
Yeah.
Sweet onion.
I have had an onion sandwich.
You have?
Yep. With good dark pumpernickel bread and laughing cow cheese.
Okay. Let's see. We have a few more things here to talk about. Who has Louisiana gumbo and Coney Island dog?
I've got a gumbo picture here.
Gumbo?
Hang on. All right, look for the tab marked gumbo.
Oh boy, that looks good. So who can describe gumbo for us? What do you see here? Katya, Daria, Nastya, just describe what you see here.
Some sort of soup from seafood.
Yeah, some kind of seafood.
With rice.
With rice. Nastya, what else do you see in here?
The meal.
This is good. This is sausage. And what kind of seafood? Yeah, sausage. It's been cut up. And what kind of seafood is this? Nastya, do you know?
Shrimp.
Shrimp, exactly. This is so good. And what are these? What is this green business? What's this green stuff here, Nastya? You're doing great.
I think it's onion.
It's onion indeed. It's onion indeed. It's onion indeed. It's onion indeed. This is a kind of spicy stew gumbo. It's called gumbo. And one of the things we can't see in here is that it has okra in it. And okra is a peculiar vegetable. Okra gumbo. And it makes it thick. All right, so that's Louisiana gumbo. What about Coney Island dogs? Soleil, what's a Coney Island dog?
Coney Island dogs? I don't know. Maybe hot dogs.
It's a hot dog. It's a hot dog with sauerkraut on it. And Professor Storm, key lime pie, stolichny salad?
Yeah. I should have uploaded a picture of the key lime pie. I didn't.
I've got it coming. Hang on.
Okay.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I'm running right behind you. There it is.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I read that this originated in Key West, Florida, and as you can see, it's made with lime juice and egg yolks, and is in a sort of pie crust, like you can see here. It is very delicious, and it's also made with sweetened condensed milk. And I'm trying to remember what that is in Russian, but I know.
What's condensed milk?
I'm not sure. You know, it's that
I want
sweet.
to say spuszone молоко. Is that it? That's not right. Da. Is that right?
Yeah. It's maybe.
Yeah, we call that sweetened condensed milk. And then it looks like this is whipped cream here, but most often key lime pie has meringue on top, a really fluffy, delicious light meringue. It's wonderful. And then the stolichny salad, that was a little bit more difficult because I hadn't heard of this before I came to Russia. So all I can tell you really is that it's table salad, and so I just assume it's sort of an everyday sort of salad. I don't know if this is something that people eat very frequently, but if I remember correctly, mayonnaise and peas and potatoes and...
Wait. I have a question for the Russians. Does stolichny here mean, is that from stol or is that from stolitsa?
Stolitsa.
Oh. Ah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a game changer then. That throws my explanation out the window.
It was first introduced in a hotel in Moscow.
Uh-huh.
I think our rough equivalent might be Watergate salad. Have you ever had Watergate salad?
Definitely heard of it. Something with fruit, is it?
It's more fruity and less mayonnaise, but a famous salad that from the capital. Which of the Russians can tell us about stolichny salad?
What's in stolichny salad? Let's see. Lisa, was your stomach better?
It was and
Anyone? Nastya? Stolichny salad?
Shall I say recipe or what?
Maybe just the ingredients?
Maybe just tell us some ingredients, yeah.
Potato.
Aha.
Eggs.
Yeah.
Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And... carrots.
Mm-hmm. You're doing well. You're doing very well. Does your mother make it, Nastya?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's very good. Okay. Texas toast. Who has Texas toast?
That would be me. And
Okay.
there is a picture, maybe even two pictures. So take your check the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
There are two called Texas toast. And the thing about Texas toast is it's thick. It's thicker than other toast. And you put butter on it and grill it in the oven to toast it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you make sandwiches with it, but it's mainly served alongside a dinner. It's just a piece of bread. We like our bread. So,
Texas toast.
I guess it's called Texas toast because it's big and everything is big.
I think maybe you're right, yeah. I think you're right. And how about Chicago pizza?
There is a Chicago pizza picture too. The chief thing that characterizes Chicago pizza is it is thick. It is called, also called deep dish.
Deep dish pizza.
And so that means that it has quite a thick crust. And whereas what would be a New York style pizza is very much more like flatbread.
Mm-hmm.
Very much more like pie.
Yeah. Nastya, how many pieces of this pizza do you think you could eat?
Two, I suppose.
Two. Ooh, okay. Lisa, how about you, if your stomach was okay?
More than two.
More than two. More than two. Katya, what do you think?
I think one.
One piece. This is a very substantial pizza. Substantial, but it is so good. I like deep dish pizza with spinach. It's my favorite kind. With spinach. Ooh, so good. Harvard beets. Harvard beets are beets that are cooked in a sauce that has vinegar and sugar in it, and maybe a little orange juice. Harvard beets are sweet and sour. So good. Parker House rolls come from the same hotel as Boston Green Pie, the Parker House Hotel, and they are fluffy rolls, and what they have a characteristic pinch in them. That's what I don't know why. So the names Parker House rolls are very popular. They're little bulочки.
And there's a picture of a Philly cheesesteak too.
And here's a Philly cheesesteak.
And I will.
Oh my!
Philly cheesesteaks. Since I came from Pennsylvania, I can tell you about those.
Go for it.
It's very thin beef that's grilled, and then a very yellow cheese sauce. Anybody who puts white cheese on this is wrong. And sometimes known as Cheese Whiz. Because we have a yellow product in America, a cheese-like product that you put on. It's melted and gooey and wonderful, and fresh baked bread. And some people will put on peppers or onions. There's some onions there, I think. But meat and cheese and bread is the core Philly cheesesteak. And whenever I go to a city, I always look to find the best Philly cheesesteak wherever I am. And you can see Joe's mouth is watering and Carly's mouth is watering.
That's a good sandwich.
That's a good picture
it's
too.
A very good picture. Yeah, there's a small cafe in Austin called Texadelphia, right across the street from the University of Texadelphia. Good cheesesteaks, and I may go there for lunch today.
And Carly, I'm willing to bet you can't get a good cheesesteak in Finland.
No, I highly doubt it.
And Professor Marston, are you a cheesesteak fan?
I used to eat them, but now I think they're too rich.
Well, let's see. We have lost Vladislav, but ladies, I want to tell you this was a good conversation. And remember, we started out with Chicken Kiev. We were talking about George H.W. Bush's speech in Kiev in August 1991. But it's interesting how many kinds of foods, how many dishes are named after places.
Also, it's an interesting. Oh, sorry, Joe. Or Professor
no,
Vero.
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, another reason this is interesting too is because so many people say that we don't have our own national cuisine, and there's so much of that criticism there. But here you could see that we do have some things that are, at least as far as I know, that they originated in America. We have a lot of really delicious desserts, and for example, this Philly cheesesteak sandwich, the buffalo wings, those are very American. So as you can see, we do have elements of our own type of national cuisine. We don't just borrow from everyone else. We do. We definitely borrow from everybody else.
Right.
But we have our own unique.
We do.
And I have to add one more story about the Philly cheesesteak. When you eat them, and the best place to get them is from a cart or a restaurant on the street, you have to learn the stance, right? So when you have a Philly cheesesteak, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this, you have to be able to stand and eat it so that all the drippings don't go down your clothes. So you have to be able to stand and eat it, and it's called the stance. You have to literally be able to stand and lean over to eat your sandwich because it's so rich, as Professor Marston says, all the juice and oil will drip down your shirt if you just try to eat it at a table. So when you eat Philly cheesesteaks in a restaurant, you're not getting the full experience. So Professor Lero, I hope that when you have lunch at Philadelphia at your restaurant, that you'll assume the stand.
I'll do the best I can. I'll do the best I can. All right. Well, again, Professor Storm, thank you for reminding us that we are not cultural. We are not in a culinary wasteland here in the United States. And typical American dishes distinguish us. And I'm speaking of things like chop suey and chow mein and real American dishes like pizza.
Chef Lero, thank you for the menu.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Chicago pizza, that's pretty American.
Yeah.
That's American. Yeah, that's American.
Yeah, that's American.
And come on, our picnic foods, our barbecue food.
Exactly. Ooh, barbecue. Yum.
Yeah. Potato salad and a baked bean.
Right.
The best barbecue that I ever had was in the south of Spain.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
But we always find some little American twist for it, even if it came from somewhere else, like Chicago pizza. Talk about wretched excess.
All right.
Well, we mentioned Stolichny Salat. I would love to hear from the Russians what their favorite food is before we leave our food topic today. Daria, tell us a little bit about Russian cuisine. What's your favorite food in Russia, Daria?
It's very hard to choose. I like dessert, especially chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And every chocolate cake, for me, is delicious.
Thank you. Excellent. A sweet tooth, we would say.
Yes.
Ekaterina, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food, I think,
Something very Russian.
I don't like Russian food a lot. I prefer Italian food.
Ah, Thai food.
Italian.
Yeah, I remember you saying last time you enjoy cooking Italian food.
Yes.
Ah, very nice. Who's going to help me with a Russian dish? Elizaveta? Lisa? What's your favorite food?
Maybe borscht.
Ah, now we get to Russia. Tell us a little bit about borscht. Tell Professor Marston about borscht in particular.
It is very red and it's very delicious.
Made from beets.
We 1 minute. We add in borscht sour cream, and it.
Yeah.
I can talk about delicious food because I have.
Well, borscht is a very good choice. A very good choice.
I want to know, does your when you cook borscht, Lisa, do you put tomatoes in it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Sometimes. I like borscht with tomatoes myself.
And sour cream is very important.
Oh, yes.
I was with some Polish people last week, and they said, no, not sour cream, just heavy cream. Is that true, Joe, that the Poles add a different sort of cream to their borscht?
Well, we use, in my home, we use sour cream. We use sour cream. Krasna śmietana. Krasna śmietana.
Excellent. And Nastya, what is your favorite food?
In my family, we often cook soups. For example, soup with mushrooms, and I really like it.
Very nice.
And for desserts, I like Russian pancakes.
And the Russian word for them is?
Blины.
Bliny. Could you explain bliny to Professor Marston?
Okay. It's not like a pancake in English. They are smaller and thin, and they are more thin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about.
How do they taste? What do they taste like?
I can't compare it with something. Can somebody help me?
Yeah, that's a good. Who can help? Who can help Nastya? What do blini taste like? Saleh, can you help us?
It's something. It's kind of magic. Blini, so tasty. I can describe it.
And
you
what?
have to,
And
you have to
you
try.
have to taste it. Yes,
Yeah, you have to
exactly.
taste it.
Yeah.
And do you put anything on top?
It can be free from different ingredients. Yes, toppings.
We
Yes.
might call them
Or
toppings.
you can add anything you like, and you won't spoil it because the meat are magical. Yeah.
I like your word. They are uniquely Russian.
There is a Russian proverb about blini. Could one of the students, and I'm going to say it in Russian, and I want one of the students to explain it to Professor Marston in English. Первый блин кому? Dasha, okay, one of the students explain that to Professor Marston, please. Dasha, Katya, Lisa, Nastya. Первый блин кому? What does that mean? Tell Professor Marston.
It means that first attempts can be unsuccessful.
And so how do you? So that doesn't say anything about blini. So how did the blini fit? Nastya, your explanation is perfect, but where did the blini fit?
Fit?
What do you think? Somebody said it. Somebody put it in the chat. The first one is always a lump. The first one is always a lump. All right.
I've got a photo for that too, Professor. It's not actually a lump, but if you go to the tab called Pierre,
there it is.
There, you know that first one is always a bit of a mess.
That's it.
Right there.
You got it. All right.
By the way, quickly, do you want me to start clearing away some of these excess?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
sure.
We might better do that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
And Saleh, you were the last one. I didn't ask you your favorite food.
I want to tell you not about Russian, but about my national food, Kazakh food. I like bishparmak, if you heard it. It's how can I have a question? How can I? What word I have to use to name meat of horse?
Horse meat is usually what we call it. Yeah, we don't eat much of it in the United States, and so we don't have a word. It's horse meat. Yeah.
Horse meat. Yes. This dish contains different parts of horse meat, and you have to add a dough without yeast. You have to roll the dough, and you have to
bake it, probably.
No, not bake it. Cook it in hot water during 1 or 2 minutes.
So you actually dip it in the water.
Yes.
Oh, boil it. Yeah, you boil it. Yeah, or poach it. Sometimes we would say poach. When you drop an egg in the water to cook it, that's known as a poached egg.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
That's an interesting word. I didn't know you could. I guess you can poach other things, right? You can poach fruit, and you could. Okay.
Poached fish. Poached fish.
You can poach fish too.
Yes, and its translation could be like 5 fingers, because you have to eat it by hand. You have to act with your hands. You have to use all 5 fingers and put the dough like this. Put it in your mouth. So that's why it's 5 fingers long.
Oh, excellent. And are there spices that go with it?
Only onion. Onion, yes.
Very
Not green,
nice.
but
white onion.
White onion, yes.
Vidalia onions.
Ah, you could use vidalias, yes.
I didn't understand.
That's a type of onion in the United States that's very sweet. It's grown, we were saying, in Georgia. Very nice. Well, now we are all hungry. Well, we have about 20 minutes left. So, Carly, if it's all right, why don't we move to you and the cultural questions we were going to talk about this morning, if that's all right?
Yeah, sure. So our next topic was supposed to, on the agenda is, I'll write this on the whiteboard here. Cultural gaps. Does everybody see? And it's on the blank whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
Can anyone? I'd like to hear from some different people, some different definitions, or if you have pretty much the same definition, maybe some examples. So who can give me a definition? A cultural gap. You can look it up quickly if you need to. So if you don't know, please look it up. Another way you could say this would be a cultural faux pas. But of course, that's taken from French. Does anyone know the word faux pas? I might have to start calling people out.
Faux pas.
Daria, do you know what a faux pas is?
No.
No. Okay. So did you look up cultural gap?
Yes.
Sure. So what definition did you find?
That cultural gap is when gap translates like mistake.
Exactly. Yep. So what do you think? What does this mean? Cultural gap, a cultural mistake. What do you think this means?
Maybe some misunderstanding between people about in cultural ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen, every time you open the Webalang website, there I am with a cultural gap. Huh? Is anyone, a dozen yellow roses.
Yeah, has anyone watched the video on the front page of Webalang where Professor Lero talks about giving an even number of flowers?
That's a cultural gap. If I gave you a dozen yellow roses, Dasha, would you consider that a nice gift?
No.
No. No, good answer.
I just don't know what doesn't mean. So I look and then I say no.
Absolutely not.
A dozen is 12.
Yeah.
So half a dozen would be 6.
In America, you buy eggs by the dozen. You buy a dozen eggs. Anyway, that's a cultural gap. That's a cultural gap.
Yeah, so there's sort of cultural misunderstandings, that, as you mentioned, or mistakes. So I found a very interesting video on YouTube, actually. It was made by Peace Corps. If you know of the Peace Corps, it's a service that sends Americans over to other countries to do some sort of service. And they talked about cultural gaps. So, for example, in Kazakhstan, Saule, I believe it said that it is a culture. It would be considered a cultural faux pas or a cultural gap to come up to somebody's table and sit or lean on the edge of their table and talk to them. So we don't sit on the edge of tables. Like here in the United States, I suppose if you know someone relatively well, or maybe you come up to a coworker, you could come and lean on the edge of their desk, or perhaps sit on the edge of their desk, and it could be okay, I think, depending on the person, maybe, and your relationship. So what are some cultural gaps in Russia, do you think? What's something that foreigners do in Russia that is a mistake? That is something you just don't do? Can you think of any?
Smile.
Smile.
Actually, we don't smile in public places.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not a mistake, it's not gaffe, but it's just a habit.
Mm-hmm. What about, I just thought of something all of a sudden. We don't go on church altars and play loud music. I'm sorry, I had to do it. So there's appropriate and inappropriate behavior, for example, in churches. In many countries.
I've always suspected you of being a closet radical, Carly.
Yeah.
Well, how about shaking hands across a threshold?
Yeah.
Ah.
And that's very people here do that all the time. Come in and they shake hands. Shake hands. But in Russia, that would be considered a cultural gap.
And why? Why would that be? Could some of the Russians tell us? If I go to Professor Liro's house and he opens the door and says, "Pete," and we shake hands.
We shake hands
right there. Through the door. Why is that considered bad?
I can't say that it will be considered bad because it's correct between men, but not between women.
Ah, tell us about that.
My students from historical faculty told me that it's tradition and it's from ancient time when men have to shake your hand to show you that he has no weapon, he's came as a friend, and it's just an echo of those traditions. And women don't have to do this because it's not. They didn't act like an active public person in last time, so they don't have this tradition. I think it's correct to shake hands in Russia, but it's gender. It's gender depending.
Oh.
I can't say about cultural gap in my ethnic group. When you have a guest and we have a cup of tea. Tea is one of traditional dishes, if I can say so. So you can't fill a cup of your guest to the top because it's inappropriate. It's not polite because it's a sign that you want your guest to go home faster. And if you don't fill the guest cup, you want him to stay for a long time. You fill just a little of tea. If my mistake don't don't prevent you to understand my speech.
No, it's very good. And Saule, there's also something that I wrote here on the whiteboard, that how the tea is served is very important. So, for example, can you tell us a little bit about what happens in Kazakhstan when a man is getting engaged to a woman, or if they're going to be married? Then the family comes over to her house.
It's too complicated.
Yeah, it might be complicated, but it's a very ceremonial.
Maybe I can make a blog about tradition, national, and I have to prepare my stories about my culture.
Yeah. No, that's okay. It is very difficult, but so a lot of these things matter. Or, for example, was it, I don't remember if it was in China or Japan, forgive me, but how you place your chopsticks when you leave the table. You never leave them chopsticks on Polichki. How you leave your chopsticks in your dish when you leave the table. You never leave them sticking straight up and down. I'm not exactly sure why, but I've got a picture here that I can show you. Can anyone tell me who are the two people in this picture?
Michelle Obama?
Yep, Michelle Obama. And who is the other person? Katya, do you know? It's difficult to tell.
Elizabeth, the second one.
The second person, the older woman.
You said Elizabeth II.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said the second woman. Yes, yes. So this is an example of a cultural gap, or it could be even a social, or a gap that's dependent upon social status, you could say. What gap is being displayed in this picture? Katya.
It's a mistake to have the queen.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a picture that was taken from, I think it was a G20 meeting in 2009. And you're not supposed to touch the queen, apparently. And so after Michelle Obama hugged the queen, and to me this isn't a hug. To me this is not a hug, but after she touched the queen, then everyone was talking, saying this is inappropriate or anything. So my question would be for you, is there any sort of special behavior with, for example, President Putin or his former First Lady, for example? Is it acceptable to put the hand on the back, or is there certain acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior with regard to Russian leadership? Does anyone have any ideas?
Do you have to be wearing a shirt?
Yeah.
We don't have a first lady anymore.
I know. I said former first lady.
First lady.
Professor Lero met Mikhail Gorbachev. What, did you shake his hand?
I did not. No, we didn't. But because we were about a meter or two apart from each other, but we had a conversation, and
we can share that sometime if we.
Sometime we will. Sometime we could.
Professor Lero and Mikhail Sergeyevich had a good conversation.
Wow, that sounds interesting. But so, what happens if someone's to walk up to the president and introduce him or herself? What is the appropriate behavior, or what is considered inappropriate behavior? My question is, would this be acceptable? What you're seeing here in this picture, would this be acceptable in Russia? Let's ask Daria, maybe.
I think it will be unacceptable in Russia. Maybe for me it's unacceptable, I don't know. Just if a president and to ask him is great.
So you wouldn't walk up to him and then smack him on the back and say, "Hey, Vlad, how's it going?" No, probably not the best thing to do.
No.
Yeah. I just thought of how when former President Bush said he looked into Vladimir Putin's eyes and liked what he saw, or something. Looked into his soul and liked what he saw.
Looked into his soul, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't touch the president. You can just gaze into his eyes. Maybe. Yeah. So does anybody else have any other comments on this? Shaolin, what do you think?
I think it's a question of official protocol. We don't have certain rules of, but we have a personal space, and I have every person, and I have, I think Russians have a big personal space that you don't have to interrupt. That you don't. No. I didn't say it right.
Intrude.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that because we Americans are said to have a large personal space as well. We like to talk about the space as being, I don't know if you can see me, the space as being a bubble. This is our bubble. And so this is my personal space, this is my bubble, and I expect someone to stand a certain distance from me, because if someone stands too close to me, it feels very intimate. And so if someone's in my face here and talking to me, I will more than likely move away. Not to be rude, but simply because I personally would be uncomfortable. But so you think it's the same in Russia?
Yes. We have the same situation. I totally understand you.
Mm-hmm. And what about when you? Yes.
What about when you get on the metro?
We don't have metro in Omsk. It's it's a big old question in Omsk, so we don't have such problems. We all uncomfortable.
Crowded buses?
Yes, we have crowded buses, and it's very uncomfortable. So when we have a chance not to use bus or any public crowded place, to be in crowded place, we don't want to be there, and we try to ignore such places or such situations.
That Professor Marston brought that up because it's true. On public transportation, personal space goes out the window. You can forget it. Whether you like it or not, somebody's going to be in your space. Yeah. Did anybody else have any sort of closing remarks, Professor Lero or Marston or Smith?
No.
Oh, I did have, I guess another note would be hand gestures in general, gestures.
Gestures.
Right? Can you give me some examples of some gestures that could be cultural gaps? For example, some gesture that you do in Russia that you know is considered a cultural gaffe somewhere else. I can give you one example. Okay. If you can see me now, what does this mean?
Okay.
It means okay, yes. But in some Middle Eastern countries, this is the same sign of extreme disrespect that you would show someone if you were to tell him, well, tell him where he could go. That would not be so nice. So that's one thing that you wouldn't do in certain countries. That's one example. Can anybody think of any others?
Well, I'll give you one, and I had experience with this because once when I was in Poland, we sang a song for our hosts. We sang "The Eyes of Texas Are Upon You," and that's a Texas University of Texas song. And ladies, I don't want you to be offended. This is for educational purposes. But at the end, one shows this symbol, which in Texas means that these are longhorns. These are the horns of a cow. Well, what about in Russia, or what about in Europe? Tasha, Katya, Lisa, what does this mean? What is that?
It's not so polite.
It's not so polite. Anyone? Don't be modest. Or you can write it in the chat if you don't want to say it. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but in Europe, these are the horns of a cuckold. This means if one man makes this gesture to another, it's insulting. It means that it's a comment about another person's wife. It's considered extremely rude extremely vulgar.
I didn't know that, actually. That's interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
Be careful. Be careful. These are the horns of the cuckold.
Oh, no.
But it's quite polite in Russia. We show this sign on a rock concert, and it means that rock is alive, and it's correct.
I think if you give me a second, I can get you a Texas mascot here with doing that symbol. What we are going to do over the week is give you, who's the host? Carly, are you the host? Can you click on Eyes of Texas tab?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So you have to shrink it a little bit, but you can see this is one of the Texas mascots from the University of Texas making this symbol, which means, as Professor Marston put in the chat, hook 'em horns, which is a sports theme, right? You want to support the University of Texas, who are also known as the Horns, the Texas Longhorns. Well, in getting ready for next week, you will have an assignment to think about cultural gaps and what behaviors you should and should not do in a particular country. So please do check the WebAlong site, and we will give you that information. And thank you all for a very tasty hour, a very satisfying hour, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a good week.
Have a good day.
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Goodbye.
And I'm mostly surprised that Professors Lero, Marston, and Smith did not break into a refrain of The Eyes of Texas.
Texas are upon you.
I restrain myself.
We may have to open class next week with a little Eyes of Texas.
Isn't that the Walker Texas Ranger song? No. That's The Eyes of a Ranger Are Upon You.
Eyes of a Ranger Are Upon You, yeah.
Shows you how much I know. I'm clueless.
On my first sporting event at UT, I went with somebody who was not from these parts. And Joe, you'll remember, I went with Jonna to a baseball game.
Yeah.
And we got up and we sang the national anthem. And then she's Italian and we sat down. And then we looked around, and 50,000 people are all looking at us because we had not waited to sing The Eyes of Texas and do the hook 'em horns thing. So we had to sort of sheepishly stand back up, spot the foreigners in this crowd.
That's funny.
Daria, Katya, Lisa, we are done. Nastya, so you all are free to go. Thank you for your participation. Don't forget to download the chat. There's a lot of useful information in it.
And thank you, everyone, for doing so well about writing the chat today.
Yes, very nice.
That was really great.
Faculty, Kosha and I talked ahead of time, and I'm willing to do the Thursday things. It'd be great to have some help. Pete, I know you can't. Carly, I know you can't. Jan, I'm not.
I can do it.
You can do it. What I think I would like to do is to do a short version of the literature thing, using the old stories, the Story of an Hour and Walter Mitty, because we've done that a number of times, and I will over the weekend write a syllabus for that and get it to question.
Okay.
But it'd be super to have you do it.
Well, I love those stories and enjoy working with you. And since it's only 3 weeks, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Great. All right. So I'll do that over the weekend. And, Kostya said that he's going to create another club for this, and he thought that we would have 10 students, but wasn't quite sure how they would divide into the two groups.
Okay, well, that sounds good to me.
That sounds good. All right. So
and we start on the 20th, right?
We start